Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and felt like something was watching you, even though you were alone? That's exactly what happened to me. But what made it worse was that the thing watching me wasn't in my room, it was in the mirror. I'll never forget the terror of opening my eyes and seeing my own reflection staring back at me, only to realize that something else was standing behind me in the glass. Something dark and twisted with eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. My body was frozen, trapped in sleep paralysis, and all I could do was watch as the demon in the mirror leaned closer. Its gaze locked on me, its presence so real I could feel the air grow colder around me. I tried to convince myself it was just a nightmare, just my mind playing tricks on me. But the fear was too real, the details too sharp, and the feeling of being watched too intense to ignore. For years I've heard stories about mirrors being portals to other worlds, about people seeing things in their reflections that shouldn't be there. But I never believed them, until it happened to me. In this video, I want to share every detail of that night. The fear, the hallucinations, the desperate struggle to wake up, and the question that still haunts me. Was it all just a dream? Or did I really see the demon in the mirror watching me sleep? If you've ever had a true scary sleep nightmare story, or seen something strange in a mirror, you're not alone. Let's face the darkness together. It was a night like any other, and I had no reason to expect anything unusual. I finished my dinner, watched a little TV, and scrolled through my phone before heading to bed. My room was quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the fan and the distant noise of cars outside. I remember glancing at the mirror on my wall as I turned off the lights, seeing only my own tired reflection staring back at me. I've always had a habit of checking the mirror before sleeping, just to make sure everything was normal. That night, I felt a strange sense of calm as I slipped under the covers, almost as if the world had slowed down for a moment. I closed my eyes, expecting to drift off to sleep like I did every night. But as I lay there, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. Fear felt heavier, and the shadows in the room seemed deeper than usual. I brushed it off as my imagination, telling myself I was just tired. Little did I know that an ordinary night was about to become the most terrifying experience of my life. I woke up suddenly, my heart pounding in my chest. The room was pitch dark, but I could see the faint outline of the mirror across from my bed. At first, everything looked normal, but then I noticed something strange, a flicker, a movement in the glass that didn't match anything in the room. I blinked, trying to clear my vision, but the movement was still there. It was as if a shadow was passing behind me, but when I looked over my shoulder, there was nothing there. My eyes darted back to the mirror, and for a split second, I thought I saw a face that wasn't mine, staring back at me from the darkness. The image vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving me questioning whether I had really seen anything at all. I tried to convince myself it was just a trick of the light, maybe a reflection from outside, but the fear lingered. I pulled the covers up to my chin and tried to go back to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face in the mirror, watching me. I didn't know it then, but this was just the beginning day. Over the next few nights, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Every time I glanced at the mirror, I felt a chill run down my spine, as if something on the other side was waiting for me to look away. I started to avoid looking at the mirror altogether, but it was impossible to ignore its presence in the room. Even with my eyes closed, I could sense it, a heavy, unblinking gaze that made it hard to breathe. I tried to distract myself by listening to music or reading before bed, but nothing seemed to work. The fear followed me into my dreams, turning them into nightmares where I was trapped in a room full of mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of myself, some normal, some twisted and monstrous. I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart racing, convinced that the demon in the mirror was real. I told myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. The feeling of being watched never went away, and I started to wonder if I would ever feel safe in my own room again. One night, the fear became reality. I woke up in the middle of the night, unable to move a single muscle. My eyes were open, but my body was completely paralyzed. Panic set in as I realized I couldn't even call out for help. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. That's when I saw it, the demon in the mirror. Its eyes were glowing, and its face was twisted into a cruel, mocking smile. It stood behind my reflection, watching me with an intensity that made my blood run cold. I tried to look away, but I couldn't move my head. All I could do was stare into the mirror, trapped in my own body, as the demon leaned closer and closer. I could feel its presence in the room, the air growing colder with every passing second. My heart pounded in my chest, and I prayed for the paralysis to end. Finally, with a sudden jolt, I broke free, gasping for air. The demon was gone, but the terror remained. I knew then that this was more than just a nightmare. After that night, the demon in the mirror became a constant presence. Every time I woke up at night, I saw its reflection, standing just behind me, its eyes locked on mine. Sometimes it would move, its form flickering in the glass, as if it were trying to step out of the mirror and into my room. I started to notice strange things happening. Objects in my room would be in different places when I woke up, and sometimes I would find scratches on my arms or face that I couldn't explain. The demon never spoke, but its silence was more terrifying than any scream. I felt like it was studying me, learning my fears, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I tried covering the mirror, but no matter what I did, the feeling of being watched never went away. The demon's presence grew stronger with each passing night, and I began to wonder if I would ever be free from its gaze. The fear became overwhelming, and I started to dread going to sleep, knowing that the demon would be waiting for me in the mirror. The psychological torment was relentless. I began to question my own sanity, wondering if I was hallucinating or if the demon was real. I avoided looking in the mirror during the day, but at night I couldn't escape its gaze. My dreams were filled with images of the demon, its eyes burning into my soul, its laughter echoing in my mind. I started to see its face everywhere, in windows, in puddles, even in the eyes of strangers. The fear followed me everywhere, turning even the brightest days into nightmares. I tried to talk to my friends and family about what was happening, but they didn't believe me. They told me it was just stress, that I needed to get more sleep, but I knew the truth. The demon in the mirror was real, and it was never going to leave me alone. I felt completely isolated, trapped in a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. The psychological horror was worse than anything I had ever experienced, and I started to wonder if I would ever feel normal again. One night, after weeks of torment, I reached my breaking point. I decided to face the demon head-on, determined to prove to myself that it wasn't real. I sat in front of the mirror, staring into my own eyes, waiting for the demon to appear. At first, nothing happened, but then, slowly, its reflection began to form behind me. Its eyes glowed brighter than ever, and its smile grew wider, more menacing. I felt a wave of terror wash over me, but I refused to look away. I demanded to know what it wanted, but the demon just stared back at me, its silence more terrifying than any answer. Suddenly, it reached out, its hand pressing against the glass, and for a moment, I thought it was going to step out of the mirror and into my room. I screamed, breaking the silence, and the demon vanished. I collapsed to the floor, shaking and sobbing, but I knew I had survived the worst night of my life. The demon was gone, but the fear remained, and I wondered if it would ever truly leave me alone. In the days and weeks that followed, the fear lingered. I found myself avoiding mirrors, covering them with blankets or turning them to face the wall. The memory of the demon's gaze haunted me, and I struggled to sleep at night. always afraid that it would return. I tried to move on with my life, but the experience had changed me. I became more aware of the shadows in my room, more cautious about what I allowed myself to see. I started to share my story with others, hoping that someone would understand, that someone else had seen the demon in the mirror too. The support I received helped me find some peace, but the fear never completely went away. I still have nights when I wake up, heart pounding, afraid to open my eyes. But I know now that I'm not alone. There are others out there who have faced the same terror, who understand what it's like to be watched by something you can't explain. Sharing my story has helped me heal, and I hope it helps others, too. If you've ever seen something strange in a mirror, know that you're not alone, and that together we can face our fears. As I look back on those nights, I realize that the fear of the unknown can be more powerful than anything we face in the real world. Whether the demon in the mirror was a creation of my mind or something truly supernatural, the terror I felt was real, and it changed the way I see my own reflection forever. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night and seen something in the mirror that shouldn't be there, you know how hard it is to shake off that feeling of being watched. You're not alone. Countless others have faced the same nightmares, the same shadows, and the same questions that never seem to have answers. I hope that by sharing my story, I can help someone else feel a little less alone in their own struggle. If you have your own true scary sleep nightmare stories, please share them in the comments below. I read everyone. Don't forget to subscribe for more real horror stories and nightmares every week. And remember, next time you look in the mirror at night, don't be too quick to dismiss what you see. Sometimes, the things we fear most are the ones that are watching us when we think we're all alone.